District of Conservation is sponsored by the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, better known as CFACT. To learn more about our sponsor, head over to cfact.org. Thanks for listening to the program. Welcome to District of Conservation. I'm your host, Gabriella Hoffman. This podcast offers a sober examination into all things hunting, fishing, shooting sports, energy, environment, and the public policy surrounding it. And this podcast also specializes in original interviews that you won't hear elsewhere. Here's what I have for you today. If you're an avid angler or waterman, waterwoman, you are probably very familiar with Hobie. For me personally, dear listeners, Hobie is an iconic brand. If you're from Southern California, which I am, it's from my hometown area. They've branched out from the Hobie cat to sunglasses and other different derivatives. And I have two guys that work very closely with Hobie, Dylan and Steven, to talk about the company. Gentlemen, I know we connected at ICAST loosely. I actually was able to take home a pair of Hobie sunglasses from the Women in Angling booth. And I think that's what triggered us getting connected. But it's great to have you both on. ICAST was a lot of fun. How was ICAST for you guys this year?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my name is Dylan Coates. I'm the marketing manager for Eyeking. We're an eyewear company. And as you mentioned, one of our licensed brands is Hobie Eyewear. We also do Salt Life Eyewear as well, and some other smaller brands there. But ICAST is a great show. We've been attending for several years. It's always a good time, good opportunity to connect with folks in the fishing industry, meet with media, retailers, look for new business opportunities, showcase your latest and greatest products, and just get your brand name out there. But great show. Always a good time. Always beneficial.
How about for you, Steven? Were you there this year?
Yep. Yeah. So my name is Steven Vaughan. I'm the senior director of product development for Eyeking, and by extension, the Hobie Eyewear collection. And it was a fantastic show. So being in product development and based on our timeline, right around now is when we're making final decisions on product that's going to launch the following year. So ICAST is a fantastic opportunity to show some of the products that we're considering or help narrow down colors and SKUs and so on and so forth for the following year. And the great thing about ICAST is that you meet with a great cross-section of people in the recreational fishing industry. And so it's been really fantastic. The Women in Angling meeting that we had when we came by and gave away some glasses and all was fantastic because we got to show some other stuff that we're kicking around specifically for women and had a very positive and very constructive response from that. So, yeah, ICAST is always great. I look forward to it every year.
That's a great summary. And we had a busy ICAST and published a couple episodes here on the podcast. A lot of people who fish and boat and spend time on the water, there's a lot of polarized sunglasses. How do you guys stand out in a very crowded field? Because people like Costas, I own some pairs of Costas too, and some other different types of glasses. I think in the past I've had Under Armour, different products to test. But how do you guys stand out in a very crowded field of polarized sunglasses? How does Hobie stand out?
It's funny you said the name Under Armour. We actually used to make their sunglasses as well. So, we are very familiar with just eyewear in general across all different fields, not only fishing in the outdoors, but sports and fashion as well. So it's just funny that you mentioned that brand name. But I think the best way that we stand out is, Hobie as a brand started in the 1950s with surfboards, and Hobie Alter was a big time innovator. And what he did between surfboards and then later the Hobie cats, and then what Hobie as a brand continued to follow in his footsteps with their kayaks is being at the head of innovation, finding ways to find those challenges on the water and come up with solutions for them and make products that make the sports, whether it's surfing, sailing, kayaking, more accessible to the general public so that they can enjoy them. So with eyewear, we like to follow in those same footsteps. Like I said, challenges on the water, we want to come up with that solution. And polarized sunglasses are a must if you're on the water. You need to be able to cut that glare. You need to have superior optics to be able to see down into the water. So where we stand out is innovation. So whether it's something like our floating collection or our upcycle collection that focuses around sustainability, we're always looking for ways to improve sunglasses as a whole and say, it's more than just a pair that you need for out on the water with great optics. Let's do something different that will stand out amongst some of those other brands that you named. we have a very quality product. I would put our product up against any of the names you mentioned or anyone in the industry, but we find a way to do it well and at an affordable price point.
Stephen, is there anything else you want to add about that too?
Yeah, well, it's funny because Dylan hit a lot of the product advantages that we have, and definitely it's the value you get. We had kind of two slogans kicking around that we've used and still use. One of them was twice the features for half the price, and then another one that we still use is build for the pros, priced for everyone. And it really is true. Like relative to what you get with other brands, we give a fantastic quality product, but also one that has key features that the fisherman wears. I mean, Dylan mentioned the floating collection, and our kayak collection, our collection made out of recycled kayak plastic, also floats as well. And it's like with all the different bells and whistles that one can offer in the sunglass arena, when people come and see our floating glasses in the tank, they're like, that's the biggest problem that you need to solve for me, because they can get polarized glasses anywhere else, but that just is the single best-selling story because it solves one of the single biggest problems. And being that we're on a conservation podcast, you're keeping glasses from ending up at the bottom of the lake and conserving your money because you're not buying those glasses more than once. You're just plucking them out of the water and you're back to fishing.
That is a great advantage. And speaking of conservation, when we all had initially connected, you guys really wanted to highlight some of the initiatives that Hobie and your company, by extension, are a part of. So detail what that looks like, because I know the different eyewear companies and many different types of companies in fishing and boating and even in hunting, which we also cover here, they do a lot of conservation initiatives. But what specifically does Hobie Eyewear do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we have taken, it's been a big initiative of ours to hit conservation on several different fronts. We recognized it as an important value that we wanted to get behind. So I believe maybe 5-6 years ago at this point, we were at Hobie's headquarters out in California, watching them mold the kayaks. And, we saw there was a lot of excess plastic kind of put off to the side during the manufacturing process. And it wasn't something that they really wanted to throw out or, have end up in a landfill. So I forget who it was, myself, Steve, someone from Hobie's team. We kind of jokingly said like, oh, what if we could make sunglasses out of that? And that kind of turned into something where we're like, well, why can't we do that? Like we pride ourselves on being innovators in this space. Why can't we actually take this crazy idea and make it a reality? So over the next few years, that became the biggest thing that we became focused on. And after a lot of different development, trial and error, we were able to bring that product to market. So our upcycle collection, which launched last year, we now have 2 styles, whole float and hatch float. That's made entirely from 100% upcycled Hobie kayak plastic. So all of that excess plastic from the manufacturing process, it's no longer going to waste. It's turning into a great pair of floating sunglasses. It also incorporates bio-based lenses and recyclable and upcycled packaging materials and cases as well. So that was a big thing, just being able to find a way to make a sustainable product like that. And then we wanted to take it even further. So we're like, aside from that, how can we give back with this product? So with that, we came across the Fish America Foundation, which is ASA's conservation branch, and we partnered with them, and we actually give a portion of sales from our upcycle collection back to the Fish America Foundation, and that helps with a lot of conservation projects that they're behind. And then lastly, we work very closely with professional angler Carl Jacobson, and a big initiative of his that he really started to get behind when we were working with him is his Fear My Heart Lake cleanup. So yeah, I think the first one was 2023 in Knoxville, right before the Classic there. I attended that, and I was just blown away how a small group of people on a rainy day were able to take tons of trash out of the Tennessee River. And I knew right from that moment that was definitely something we wanted to get behind more. So we continue to support that event year over year. And then last year, ironically, when we launched the Upcycle collection, he started his worldwide lake cleanup initiative. So he was aiming to get 100 lakes cleaned up all in the same weekend, building off his main cleanup. So I think he got to about 73 last year. We did our own 2 cleanups, both in Jones Beach, New York, and then at Jordan Lake down where I am in the North Carolina area. and that was very successful. This year, it was year number 4 of that. He got to, I think it was 133 lakes cleaned worldwide, and we had our same 2 cleanups, and our one at Jordan Lake, we pulled out over 5,000 pounds of trash and had about 100 people show up to clean the lake. And I was just kind of blown away by the support and the amount of people that were willing to come out and do something so great for the community. So it's definitely one of the things that I take a lot of pride in, is that we're able to do that and make an actual difference and go out there and do something and get our hands a little dirty. So, like I said, kind of a long-winded answer, but that's how we hit sustainability and conservation on, like we call it, the 3 fronts.
And I would also say Dylan shared with the team over in our office that we've been passing around a really cool video from Carl showing the origins of how he got into that area to begin with. We could share the link with you maybe to add to the notes of the podcast, yeah. But it's very inspiring. It's a very cool video to watch, very moving, very inspiring, and it just shows like what someone just taking the initiative, even in their own local lake, local river, local waterway, what a difference they can make if they get a bunch of people together. And so he's inspiring this to happen, outward from like his location, but just seeing how it started. It's a very cool video. Totally recommend it.
I look forward to seeing it. And as my listeners are familiar, anglers and boaters also happen to contribute a big share of the conservation pot under a law you gentlemen might know of, Dingle Johnson. So anytime you buy a license, boater fuel, and the like, it all goes back to conservation efforts through that mechanism there. So yes, it's very good to see tournament anglers and others also put more out there to even help supplement that. So yes, fishing is conservation very much, and we're big fans of ASA here at the show. What type of products should my listeners be interested in? I know you guys probably unveiled a little bit at ICAST, or depending upon the show season. I know I don't know if you guys have already unveiled like remainder of 2026, preview 2027. But what are some cool products that my listeners might be interested in?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would say first and foremost, our floating collection. Like Steve said, that is the biggest thing that people see with our brand. They go, that is the problem that I need solved. And, I like to joke around and I say it all the time. If you haven't lost a pair out on the water, it just means you haven't spent enough time out there. So getting a pair of floating glasses is definitely something that is beneficial to anyone that spends enough time out there. So we have several different sizes, models in that collection. Highly recommend checking it out. And then, if you want to get behind the upcycled story and help support the Fish America Foundation, definitely check out Hull Float and Hatch Float. Hull's more of a sport wrap frame, and then Hatch is more of a flatter lifestyle frame. That's personally what I like to wear. It's just preference at that point. But yeah, I'd highly recommend either of those collections, and then we have some other just non-floating and lifestyle pairs as well. But if you're a prescription wearer, I'll let Steve kind of take it away there on another great product we have on that front.
Yeah, so not so much for the listening audience, but we have a collection called our Duo collection, and the frames I'm wearing right now are called Lennox, Lennox, and we have 2 other styles, Crescent and Bells, and they're just 3 different eye shapes that you can buy that in. And the beauty of it is it comes, you get your frames, you get your prescription put in, but these are my everyday, all-day glasses anyway. But then we have these magnetic clips that are made specifically for each of the frames. So they're custom made for that frame, for that shape. So they don't look like these wonky aftermarket universal fit clip-ons with little claws, and they don't scratch up your glasses. So the great thing about them is that they, you get your prescription once instead of paying, let's say you want 3 different tints because you do a lot of different types of fishing. You pay for a prescription once in glasses that you can wear every day, indoors, outdoors, whatever. And then you're only paying $40 or $50 for these magnetic polarized clips. And they're offered in all 5 of our basic lens colors. So, conserving some money there too by having 1 frame and then up to, I call it 6 options because you have your your indoor option and then 5 different clips for being outdoors or on the water.
Very good. Yeah, I'll include links to all those lines you listed, product lines you listed into the show notes. Gentlemen, is there anything else about Hobie Eyewear that you want my listeners to be aware of, something we have not touched upon yet in our conversation?
Yeah, lifetime warranty. I mean, you can't beat that. We're a relatively small company. We take a lot of pride in what we do and the products that we put out there, and we like to stand behind it. So, if there's ever a product issue that someone has, you just call us, you email us, you get in touch with a real person, and they're there for you. They're there to take care of what you need and get you set up with a new pair.
Yeah, and from my side, I would say just always keep an eye on us because we're always trying to come out with new and innovative product and growing the floating collection. So, if there's a style that doesn't appeal to you now, check again next season because we have something coming out all the time. And we expand on the stories that do well for us, but we're always developing the next story as well.
Wonderful. Yeah. And I'm trying to be agnostic with sunglasses, but I've been using and wearing the one I picked up at ICAST. And I will say I'm very impressed so far. Like, even without putting a prescription to it, it just like reduces glare. It's very comfy. You guys did not compensate me to say that. And there's no compensation happening here. No transactions happening. But I will say it is a quality product. As someone who owns like a vast amount of pairs from like Vortex to Costas and whatnot. So you guys do have a great product, and I am grateful to learn more about what you're doing on the conservation side of things. Check out all the notes in the show links to learn more what Dylan and Stephen are talking about. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And if there's any updates or anything interesting, timely, please come back on the show and talk about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks again for having us. Definitely when we saw what you were doing with the conservation podcast, we knew we needed to be on it. So, it was great meeting you at ICAST. It was awesome to be in the Women in Angling Lounge and support that great new initiative that ICAST has going on as well. And look forward to continuing the conversation. And if you want to check us out, HobieEyewear.com. Follow us on social at Hobie Eyewear on all the channels, and pick yourself up a great pair of polarized sunglasses.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us on. Really appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this installment of District of Conservation, I would love to know your feedback. Send it my way. Please be sure to leave us reviews on Apple, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are played, and also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to never miss a beat nor a guest announcement. Thanks so much for listening to District of Conservation. I hope you have a wonderful day, and please share the podcast to those who may be interested in learning more about these critical natural resources, environment, energy issues.